Hey, this is Rich at Capital B. What I'm doing today is illustrating how to do just an even split, and it's one of several methods that you can use for actually splitting down colonies. What I'm dealing with here is an overwintered colony. It's pretty typical how we overwinter here. Story and a half, deep on the top, medium on the bottom. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to split that down. Now, in an even split, the idea is that you split everything up evenly, and in order to do that, you need enough equipment to at least start one more hive. In my case, I'm going to have two bottom boards here. Normally I'm on pallets, but to illustrate this, I'm going to use these solid bottoms, and eventually I'll transfer these back to a pallet. So I've got what would essentially be two bottom boards. Then that old hive that's there right now, the mother hive, that one is the one I'm gonna reuse those boxes as part of this split. And then I have another set of boxes here that I'm gonna use for what'll be the daughter hive, along with a cover and everything else for that. So what the process is here schematically to start with is I'm gonna be taking half of everything from the mother colony and putting it into essentially the daughter colony. When I get all done with this, what I will have is I will have two new colonies. Those colonies will be facing each other. So the mother colony with the mother queen and the daughter colony. Now, I'm not necessarily going to be looking for a queen in this because I'll come back in a few days and I'll investigate for eggs. And at that point, what I'll do is whichever one does not have eggs, I'll introduce a queen in, because they'll have been queen less than for at least a couple days, probably 3 days I'm going to wait. But in the process, I am going to be splitting them up so that they have equal amounts of resources, such as frames of honey and or pollen if they're in there. They'll have equal amounts of brood in terms of all various stages. And so eventually what I'm going to have is 5 of the 10 frames in each box are going to go to the daughter hive, 5 of the 10 frames in each box stay with the mother hive. And then I infill around that with these extra frames that I have to fill out to make up my 10 frames, because I'm running 10 frame equipment here. So that's my basic process. So I'm going to get set up to do this and start digging into this hive and get it. Okay, I'm going to start splitting these out. Now these bees, this colony all of last year was a meaner colony, just in general. Queen in this colony. For whatever reason, they were kind of a grumpier bunch of bees all summer, and so we'll see how they are here today. I'm just going to kind of work through the process and see if I can get them both apart and see how everybody's doing here. All right. So actually these hives, we've got 10 frames in the bottom, we've got 8 frames in the top because I have frame feeders in here. And I'd given them a little syrup earlier on, but they're out of syrup now, which is good because I have to manipulate this anyway. I don't want to have to try to mess around with a feeder that's got syrup in it. So, let's see if I can work that out of here. Bees have managed to develop a lot of propolis, but let's make sure you don't have a queen walk around here, because once in a while she ends up in places you don't expect her to be. I'm going to set this aside back here. Alright, so now what I'm going to do, I like to run my mediums on the bottom and deeps on the top. So I think for this process I'm going to take and get this deep off of here and just set it off, and then I'll go through it last and I'll split the medium up. So I'll get the medium setting over here, and then I'll transfer the stuff over as I go and see how it goes here. So let's see if I can get this apart. I haven't had this apart, so I don't know how much they've bridged this together, if they have. Hopefully they have not. Doesn't feel like it's bridged too bad. Smoke in there. Yeah, it's not bad. Excellent. I'm going to set this off to the back just to get it out of my way, keep these bees out of my way for right now. All right, now, so the idea is when you do this even split, the bees coming back aren't going to know exactly where to go because this hive's not going to be here. So they're going to have to make a decision to go left or right. And I'll probably tighten this up a little bit to force this decision a little bit more. So the issue is if you left the parent hive right where it was, that all the foragers would return back. So I'm just trying to create enough confusion that they've got to make a choice. So I'm going to get these bees smoked back a little bit because they got a lot of burr comb up here on the top. And normally with this burr comb, what I would do is I would take and put it into a pail. This does have some brood in it, drone brood, most likely. So queen has been here and she's laying because they got brood in there. And all right, and looking down in here, let's see what we got. Now I'm going to get one of these hives set up, and I guess it doesn't really matter here at this point. I got to get one organized. I'm going to use my base box. Like that. I'm going to pull 5 frames out of here. There's 5 frames that will go into the other part of it. This is all set. Now I got to go through and kind of select here how I'm going to do this. Now, I could checkerboard through it. That might be the easiest way to do it. To take every other frame, and then I don't have to worry too much about what's on them. Especially in this bottom box. Let's just kind of see what they got in there. Oh, there's a whole lot of nothing in here on some of this. Let's just take a quick peek. I know, girls. This one's an empty outside. That one's an empty on the outside. So, I think what I'll do, there's not much for research there. I'm going to run these right into this box right away. And I'll just checkerboard through it this way. Because I don't see brood and stuff down in here right off. I might counter it as I go. I'm going to checkerboard it, I think is the way I'm going to do this. Probably be the fastest way. Yeah, there's some cat brood here. I'll be a little careful. I'm scouting for the queen, but I'm not purposefully looking for her necessarily. I'm just going to split them up. These frames I'm pulling out, I'm going to put right in the center of this box. Set. Okay. So now the old hive is gone. Now I'm going to work on this one. When I work on this one, I'm going to just put it back on the pad so I've got it wheeled in. So I don't have to work too hard to do this. Set it here for now. It's to be squished there, but it's okay. So now what I'm going to do, same process again. I got to think through this a little bit because the way I set my feeders up, the feeders are correct. You have one to one side, one to the other side, and I end up with this. This one I only need to take 4 frames because I only got 8 frames in these, plus a feeder. So I think 2, 3. Just gotta be careful because I do have bees coming up. 4. Make sure queen ain't running around on there when I do it. I'm going to leave the feeder in. I do have to do a little housekeeping here because this particular feeder is not as wide as my other one, so I will capture this comb later on. We are not going to waste that. We are not going to waste this comb. We'll melt that down. And I'm going to get it cleaned up a little bit because they make some burr in there when the feeders aren't that wide, 8 frames. I'm not going to waste any of that, and I'll get the burr comb eventually too. Okay, so I think I'm set here. Now I'm going to pull 4 frames out of that one, put in this one. Same deal, I'm going to checkerboard through. I'm going to be a little more careful in this one because I suspect my queen is up. Because there wasn't much activity in the bottom box. And I'm going to put them tight to the feeder side. Yeah, it's got a lot of bees up here, and nurse bees are up here too, I can tell the way they act. Alright, so that frame there is honey and nectar, open nectar, and pollen. I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it against the feeder over here. I'm going to checkerboard through it. That's going to be my approach. Just take every other one, I'll push these together then when I get done. And there we go. We've got our even split. Now again, one of these is queenless. One of them is not. I don't know which is which because I didn't really spend a lot of time looking for a queen. If I happened to cross her by accident and saw her, that'd been one thing. But I didn't immediately see her. Wasn't paying that close of attention. I was just scanning through. And so that's my even split. So what I have now is I got those 2 hives facing each other, okay? And you notice already what's happening. is that these bees, they are already realizing that the mother hive is gone. And you've got bees on the landing boards here that are fanning and calling. And so these bees, when they come in, turning foragers, they basically have to make a decision, left or right. And again, I'll come back in a few days. I'll investigate which one of these is queen right by looking for eggs. Or if I come across the queen, I know they're queen right. Whichever one is not queen right, I'm going to introduce a new queen in. So that's a very simple, even split system. So here we are on that split. This is roughly half hour to an hour later. The bees have absolutely figured out their new homes. You can kind of see there in the center the how they're kind of choosing one side or the other, and it's about, you know, 50-50. Some going left, some going right. The hive on the left was the one that was the new box split. The one on the right was the original boxes. You can see in the background the original hive. There's nobody on that bottom board or landing board or anything now. So they're getting it figured out, and that's the purpose of spacing those towards each other. And you know, if it was a situation where we found that one was really getting a lot more volume of bees than the other, could literally just swap their positions around left to right, and they'd probably equalize out a little bit better, but it's going to be pretty close. So 3 days from now, I'm going to come back and look for eggs and put a queen in.